A scope statement is possibly the most powerful and important document you have about your project. But what is it exactly, and why should you take the time to create one? Let's start with what a scope statement is and what it covers. Spoiler alert, it covers everything about your project, and I know that can be an intimidating thought when you might already feel like you're in over your head, but this document will help keep your head above water as you navigate through your project. How many times have you been working on or running a project and new things keep popping up that you weren't expecting? A new feature, a massive design change, a new stakeholder suddenly appears. The list goes on and on. The stress that comes along with all those changes is enough to make anyone want to run away screaming. The real reason that those things are so stressful, though, is that you likely didn't have any options but to do your best to fit it all in and make everyone happy. And that's because you didn't have a scope statement to go back to and point out that none of those changes are within the agreed upon scope of the project. Like I said earlier, your scope statement will cover all aspects of your project. Why you're doing the project, any deliverables and their features, involved stakeholders, project goals, metrics for success, and maybe most importantly, it will define what the project won't include. First up, your project justification. This is the why of your project. Every project starts because of a need. Your project justification spells out that need and how the resulting deliverables will address it when it's all said and done. Next, deliverables and their features. This is the what of your project. List out all the deliverables you plan to create over the course of your project, including features, documentation, marketing materials, advertising, press releases, everything. Get specific here. This set of deliverables is what you're building your project plan off of, so make sure you've accounted for everything. Now that you've listed out everything you know you're going to deliver, it's time to spell out what you won't be doing. We're into the meat of this document now. Want to keep unexpected changes to a minimum? This is where you get that done. There are always great ideas for every project, but not all of these great ideas can be included in your project right now due to budget or time constraints. List those ideas or features or campaigns or whatever here so that your team can stay on track. You can always come back to these ideas later with a new project scope to address them. Next, list all the involved stakeholders on your project. Now, this can be trickier than it seems at first glance sometimes. For a detailed breakdown on identifying stakeholders, check out our Coffee with Brett episode on how to identify and map project stakeholders. The short of it is to make sure you're thinking through the entire organization for anyone who could come in at the last minute and make a change that blows up the whole project. If you can get those people on board with your scope from the very beginning, the chances of the dreaded swoop and poop go way down. Next, what are the goals of your project and how will you measure success? Completing all the deliverables on your project is one part of a successful completion. But the bigger picture isn't just that you got the project done, but that it measurably solved the problem for your organization or your clients. This is where you define what that problem solving looks like and how you'll measure it. It sounds like a lot at first, and it can be on larger projects, but if you take the time to really think through the project at the beginning and get the entire team on board from the start, you're almost guaranteeing yourself a low-stress project. One other thing I'd like to mention here. This won't be the case for everyone, but sometimes a scope will have a budget or a dollar amount attached. If you have a consulting agreement and that's the case, you'll want to be sure to include the level of detail that works for your company and to be sure that any contract you're signing is reviewed by your lawyer. And that's it. I'd love to hear from you though. Do you write scope statements for your project? Is this the first time you ever heard about scope statements? Let us know in the comments, and while you're there, if this video helped you out, return the favor and hit the thumbs up button. Then make sure you subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of our videos. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.